Chris Mannix for the crossover alongside Rohan Nadkarni and Howard Beck. Guys, the NBA is barreling towards an all-star event in Atlanta in early March, but there's already been a lot of pushback to that idea from likes of LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, among others. Rohan, what's your reaction, I guess, to the reaction about the NBA's all-star plans?
Honestly, Chris, my reaction is that something doesn't add up here. This All Star game didn't materialize out of thin air. It's not the league unilaterally forcing this on the players. This was an agreement between the league and the players' union. The president of the players' union is Chris Paul, who presumably knows LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo fairly well. If you guys recall, before the bubble, there were those famous superstar phone calls. Chris Paul calling up guys like LeBron, Kevin Durant, James Harden, etc., just to get guys' opinions. How did that not happen this time? I just don't understand how the players are on such different pages when this was an agreement between the union and the All-Star game. Personally, do I think it's hypocritical for this game to go on considering all the rules and protocols in place? Yes, absolutely. It makes no sense with the rules the league has imposed so far this season. But what I don't understand is why the players' union agreed to do this if the guys who are going to be All-Stars don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I agree with all that, although we need to understand the framework here. The collective bargaining agreement calls for an all-star game, calls for all-star weekend. So though this discussion has been framed for weeks as the players in the league are working on a way to have the all-star game, it's actually, there's already an all-star game on the books according to the CBA. And if the players don't want to do it, they would have to go to the league and formally say, we want to opt out of this, and let's negotiate how we're going to do that. So it's not a negotiation to have it. It would have to be a negotiation not to have it. That said, as Rohan points out rightly, the players seemingly have been on board during these discussions over the last few weeks. And it is baffling that here we are at this late stage that players, especially the players of the caliber of LeBron and Giannis, are among those saying this is not a great idea. And to their point, when the league decided to start in December, every indication, subtly and not so much, was that the All-Star weekend was off. They canceled Indianapolis, which is where it was supposed to be. And I think they gave the impression to everybody, players, fans, media alike, that there just wouldn't be one. So I do understand that it's taken some guys off guard, but it's the union's job to make sure that they are aware of this and that they have buy-in. So it is strange that we're at this point, but I understand the concerns.
Yeah, I understand why the NBA wants to have an all-star game, despite the fact that the three of us probably agree the game itself is kind of goofy and not all that entertaining. It did do 7.3 million viewers last year. Put into context, the highest-rated Christmas Day game of this season was only 6.9 million viewers. So there'd be a lot of eyeballs on that game if it went ahead. A lot of sponsors that would be encouraged by that idea. Plus, you could, help your relationship along with Turner, which, is expecting to have an all-star game and all that comes with it. To echo some of the things you guys have been saying, I'm baffled that there's so many players that have come out against having an all-star game. Has there been one player, at least a marquee player, who has sounded enthusiastic about having this game? From guys that are, potentially going to be a part of it, like LeBron, Giannis, to other guys like De'Aaron Fox, even Kemba Walker, guys saying this is not a great idea. This feels like, Rohan, to be a massive break in communication from the Michelle Roberts, Chris Paul side of this all the way down, because I can't imagine, should a phone call not have taken place between LeBron James and Chris Paul, or LeBron James and Michelle Roberts? Should they not have anticipated, so many big name players, coming out and just trashing this idea? My takeaway from all this isn't so much will there be an all-star game, are there fundamental problems within the union?
Yeah, Chris, I really couldn't agree more. And it's just, especially stands in such stark contrast to what happened when they were putting on the bubble, which was a much greater logistical nightmare. And the players, at least, whether they disagreed or not, there was so much more communication. For this to happen now, it really doesn't make any sense. It's also not even like you need to go to the whole league for this. We know that there are only going to be, 25 guys who even need to be considered for this kind of conversation. The fact that this is happening makes no sense. And now you also have to consider, you talked about the viewership last year, and the last year's game, to their credit, was actually kind of fun. At the end there, are fans going to want to watch a game when they know LeBron is saying things like, I'm going to be there physically, but not mentally? And I don't blame him. The guys only had 2 months off in the last year. Are fans even going to be interested in a game when guys like Kawhi, Giannis, LeBron, whoever, are not even excited to be there? I can't imagine.
Howard, let me give you the last word here. Do you think there will be an all-star game? Because, when I talk to league officials, what comes up often is, well, look, if the players are really pushing back on this, specifically LeBron, there's a chance it's not going to happen. Do you think it happens?
Yeah, I think it still happens. I think LeBron got his message across, but I think LeBron knows, as they all do, that there's money at stake here. Nothing that's specifically tied to All-Star Weekend. It's not like you cancel that game and you immediately forfeit X amount of dollars. But yes, it's keeping faith with Turner Sports, which of course puts on All-Star Weekend. That's an important partner for the league, and thus an important partner for the players, because lest anyone forget, all revenue that comes in that's classified as basketball-related income is split 50-50 between the owners and the players, and that includes whatever revenue you generate through All-Star Weekend from the broadcast and sponsors and everything else. So it's not even just, hey, the players who go get their All-Star bonuses from their contracts. No, all revenue that comes from that event, as with all events, is in that big pool of BRI, and all players share in that. So ultimately, I think that when push comes to shove, guys may not be enthusiastic about it, but they understand that this is an important part of the business. It's an important part of the NBA calendar, and it's important fan service as well.
Well, long way to go until we get to March 7th. For more, check us out over at SI.com.